Good morning and welcome back to Oaxaca. Today is my last day here in the city, and so today I thought that I would finally go and check out Monte Alban, which is the archaeological city just outside Oaxaca. So to get there, there's a few different options. You can grab a taxi, or there's no Uber in Oaxaca, but there is Didi car and regular taxi, so you can use one of those if you choose. You can actually pick up a shuttle bus as well from one of the hotels, which is what I'm going to do today. There was a local bus that goes out that direction, but it drops you off still like 2 or 3 clicks short of the destination, so shuttle bus takes you right there. Much easier option. So we're just gonna make our way down. One of the hotels here, the Hotel Rivera down by the market, has shuttle buses that run from there I think it's every hour. So I'm just gonna grab a ticket from there and off we go. And before we do that, time to get some breakfast and some coffee first. So let's go find a place to do that. So I'm just here at Saison Osacleña. It's just a local restaurant in town here, probably like 5 minutes from where I'm staying. And I'm just here having breakfast before I go to Monte Alban. So this is a typical set right type breakfast that they have. It's like a combination breakfast, if you will. So for 75 pesos, I ordered chilaquiles with tasajo, which is like a steak. It's like a skirt steak. And then those combos also come with orange juice, fresh fruit, coffee, and that bread is extra if you want it. It's like 10 pesos extra, and it's really sweet and delicious, so I recommend it. And yeah, just waiting for my main to dig into that so we can get going. And so here's my main. Let's dig in. So here's the entrance to the Hotel Rivera, which has the desk right in the front lobby for buses to Monte Alban. And it's just a couple blocks away where you go to pick up the bus. So when you pay, it's 100 pesos as of 2024. Give you a ticket here. It says departures at 11, returns at 2:30, and they give you this handy map as well to show you where to go to pick up the bus. So we're just heading down here now, and yeah, it's just 2 blocks down and 1 block over. So once you walk the couple blocks, you end up here at this little bus stop. You'll see the signs here for Monte Alban. You can actually buy our tickets here, but I believe it's the same price anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Anyway, I'm here a little bit early. The next bus isn't until 11 a.m. and it's almost 10:30 now. So yeah, we're good to go. We just gotta wait for the bus. They said it's about a half hour to get out there, so I should be out there about 11:30 or so, I would figure. A little later than I wanted to be, but it's the way she goes sometimes. So we just got dropped off in the shuttle bus here near Monte Alban. So currently, go ahead. Currently you get dropped off farther down the road and you have to hike up a little bit. I don't know how long that's going to last, but they are currently doing road construction here, as you can see. We will make our way up. At least coming back out later should be easier. It'll be all downhill. Well, it's almost a half-hour walk up the hill from where the shuttle bus dropped me off. Now I'm assuming that this road will be finished soon-ish, But yeah, it's a good hike to get up the hill. It's been about 20-25 minutes so far, and I think I'm only a couple more minutes away, so I know I'm close. But better bring your walking shoes if you come. Well, after about a half an hour of walking uphill, thankfully it wasn't too hot today, because that would have been a remarkably difficult hike in the heat. We are here. We have arrived at the top. You can see all the way down there is the city of Oaxaca down through the trees. And now that I'm here, it's probably going to rain. But whatever, I'm here now.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Gracias. Well, one thing better than looking at a map of it is to go actually look at it. Well, it's nice and cool here now, so that's good. So, why did I just climb for 30 minutes to come see another set of ruins? So the story goes is that Monte Alban is one of the earliest Mesoamerican, pre-Columbian cities in Latin America. Monte Alban was first founded, and the initial stages were built back around 500 BC, and it maintained its status as a city for almost 1,000 years. So by about 750 AD, the city had lost its prominence and was almost completely abandoned. But, for 1,200 years, it was a city that had thousands of people in it. It is believed there was somewhere between 5,000 and 15,000 people living here in its height. And it's also a unique looking place in that it's at the very top of a hill. Oh, here comes the rain. So of course the rain has started now that I've gotten here. But I'll just wait it out. I don't think it's going to last all day or anything by any means. Anyway, so what's unique or rare, I guess, with Monte Alban compared to many other prehistoric archaeological sites is that when this place was founded, instead of using the local terrain to build with, so building the hills, building around the hills and whatever, they actually carved off the top of this mountain and made it completely flat, and then covered it in like it wasn't limestone, but like similar, like a stone, and then built the city on top of that. So just the amount of work that would have been involved to get it to that point would have been unbelievable. It is really raining, but I am just going to hang out under this tree, and hopefully it'll calm down before too long. Another reason I'm going to wait this out is because everyone else is leaving, so if I stick it out and wait for the rain to stop, I might have the place mostly to myself, which would be kind of cool. So we'll just see what happens here. It's just rain. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going. It's already starting to slow down a little bit anyway, I think. Or I'm just getting used to it, one or the other. So we're just going to make our way up here to the main area. It's peaceful up here with with nobody around in the rain. So this is what's known as Residence 104.
And this is one of the best kept examples of a home that was here at Monte Alban, built between the years of 500 and 700 AD. And how this house kind of worked, if you can imagine it, that this, as the ground floor, would have a second floor on top of it. And these were all rooms around this central courtyard. So on the top of the 2 steps there, you can see what looks like a grate, and that was actually the tomb where family members would be buried. So the house, the living quarters, you know, the family activity area, and then the burial area were all self-contained within one house. And there's a diagram of it here that kind of shows you an example of what it would have looked like. So when they excavated this site, the tomb itself is still intact underneath, and they've found paintings and carvings and stuff on the walls there, including things like calendar dates to signify, you know, dates of death and those types of things as a record of who was here, when they died, and so on. So a very cool spot. And I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera or not, but even cooler with the rain coming down and the fog lifting off of it here ever so gently. All right, let's head over this way. Let's head up on these rocks steps to get up to the main area just at the top here. And here we are at what's known as the North Plaza at Monte Alban. Which, if you look that way, you can see the flat center courtyard and the South Plaza down there. And, for the moment at least, I appear to have the place to myself. So Monte Alban was never part of the larger empires in the area. It wasn't a Mayan or Aztec or anything. It actually predated a lot of those when it was first founded in 500 BC. Towards the end of its time, of course, it would become trading partners with some of those larger established cities like Teotihuacan and others in the region. They're very worn now, of course, but you can see there's carvings in some of these stones here, and there's another one over here. It's also got a carving. It's actually, I think, easier to look at it almost side on. You can really see the indentations there and the carvings on the front. You can see some of the various temples in the main area. So when they designed this city 2,500 years ago, they actually built it with the population in mind, so that when there were festivals or, you know, meetings or whatever that were required for everybody to attend, that center court area was big enough to hold everybody that lived here. There's these really odd kind of rock-shaped setups here. You can kind of see the outlines on them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Another carving there on the step as well. So some of these are closed off with rope. This one isn't. However, with the rain, I'm not going to try to climb up and slip off or something. I may be adventurous, but I'm also old and not that stupid. So let's head down this way to get down to the main area, I think. Another example here, one of these stone totems, again with carving in it here and along the sides, but very difficult to tell what it was at this point. The rain has picked up again. So you can get a sense, like over there you can see how flat everything is, and then if you look down here you can get a sense that that flat part sort of continues here, and then everything was kind of built up off of that. I think what I'll do is I'll double back because of the rain for a minute, because there's not exactly a place here with a roof. So, although it does look like it's clearing up that way a little bit, so I'm hoping that that's going to make its way over here. Well, I wasn't expecting to get involved in a wet t-shirt contest today, but here we are. So for the moment the rain has stopped, so let's continue along our way. We're just making our way down from the North Plaza here, heading down to the main area. What a remarkable spot. The quality of what they've been able to save here is unbelievable. These clouds are looking very foreboding, however. Gonna go over here for a second. I want to get a shot of the city from up on high with the very threatening looking clouds just off to the right here of the city as well. But you can see why, I mean, walking around here and the walk to get up here, why this was such a favorable location. The top of the hill, very easy to defend. So this is just sort of part of Oaxaca. It actually continues back over this way behind the trees as well. That, however, that is some very serious rain that's coming. I'm hoping it's going to continue to just go past and not get here, but we're going to find out very shortly, I think. Glad I waited out the rain. There's like 10 or 12 people here now. I'm sure more will be on their way back up shortly. So I'm going to make my way down to the main square here and have a look around. And now the sun's coming out, which will be great for my white t-shirt to dry out a little bit. This gives you a good idea of just how big this complex is as well. You can see how far away those people are down there, and they're only about, well, that last couple is only about 3/4 of the way down. Amazing spot. Just, yeah, remarkable. And to think that this just sat here for, over 1,000 years after it was abandoned, and now they've uncovered all of this. These are nowhere near as steep as the others were, so these should be fine. I'm going to take my camera off and I'll see you at the bottom. So one of the more interesting things about Monte Alban and some of the stuff that they found here are these obelisks. And these are all original obelisks, and they're scattered all over. You can see one there, there's another one over there, and there's some more down the other way. And these were an important record for some of the history that was here. On each side of this obelisk, there's a different carving. So on this side, there was actually one of the dancers. If you remember the statue that we saw in Querétaro, the native dancer that was adorned with the large flowers and everything, this is the curved version of that. So on the other sides, there's additional carvings here. You can see this one here actually features two people here. And then on this side, according to the information, so there's again two people here. However, the glyphs on the stone also included their names. So this was a record of two actual people that lived here during the time of this stone being created. And then the final side over here as well, that talks about, see how there's 4 different glyphs, one on each side. All right, let's walk across the football field. It is at least that big, if not bigger, especially its width. It's, yeah, I don't know. If I find the dimensions online, I will put them on the screen here to give you an idea of just how big this area is. And again, basically perfectly flat. That sun is nice now. There's a piece over here that I wanted to go check out as well, that I read a little bit of information about. It looks like just a freestanding stone, but there's always more to the story, of course. If you look at this, does it remind you of anything in particular? Maybe say a sundial, because that's what this is. This was a giant sundial / calendar system that they would use here at Monte Alban to determine the days of the year. So if you stood directly in front of this shorter end, you'd be facing due south. Obviously the other side would be due north, and then the shadow that would be cast based on the sun would determine, days of the week, days of the year, and so on. It's believed that this was actually used to count all 365 days of the year. Some of the other Mesoamerican societies that were here, Aztecs, Mayans, for example, a lot of those used 20-day calendars, so they only give them 360 days for the year. This one here actually counted the 365 days correctly. There's actually a carving you can see on the side here of some of the original writing. Let's take a walk around the other side here and see if there's more over here. I believe that these stones actually helped to mark significant dates as well. Things like, the beginning of the equinox. Yeah, and it's this side here again. You can see here there's some glyphs on the side of this rock as well. You can see here the main complex that was in the center of the court. So we're just getting towards the end here of the south side of the complex. And I just want to go over here and have a look at this huge building off to the right. Definitely glad I stuck around and waited out the rain, because based on the number of people I saw when I was walking up here, this place would have been super busy a couple hours ago before the rain started. And I saw a lot of people scurrying for the exit. So, yeah, glad I stuck around. Off camera there, I talked to a couple of more very pleasant gentlemen who were selling some beautiful things here. A couple of them were working in clay. One guy was working in obsidian. And yeah, I always would like to buy some of that stuff, but the way that I'm traveling, I just don't have the room. And if I did buy something, I'd be too worried about breaking it. So we are here now. This is the Building of the Dancers, it's called in English. And this complex was built between 300 and 800 AD. So getting towards the end of Monte Alban's history. You can see there's actually stairs built into the inside of this that would take you up inside. It's off limits, of course, which is fine. Let's go over here, because I think one of the more interesting and cooler things that I've read about here is just right over here. So, if you look here, and in fact there's even one on the inside walls there of that temple. I don't know if you can see them very well. But here's a collection of what they called Gallery of the Dancers. Now there's a couple different theories as to what these all were, who they were, and what the story is. But the general consensus, I believe, at this point is that the dancers were ceremonial victims here at Monte Alban. Some of these were captured leaders from surrounding towns at the time they were brought here. Many were castrated and then sacrificed. And so these are what remain to show who some of these people were. All men in different poses. Some of them animalistic looking poses here, for example. But this tradition of capturing locals, bringing them here for sacrifice, was a period that lasted some 400 to 500 years here at Monte Alban. We've just come inside this little walk-in area here inside the Temple of the Dancers, and you can see more examples of these reliefs on the wall here. Again, with people in various positions. These date back to between 500 and 200 BC. So one of the neat things on the side of this building here in the middle of the grand courtyard area are these stones with glyphs written on them. Now these glyphs, top. What's that? You didn't run out of the way for the rain. Well, no, because I figured if I stayed, no one else is going to be here, and I was right.
There you were. You have the place to yourself.
So these glyphs, these upside down glyphs at the top, so you can see it kind of has a symbol there at the top, and then the upside down head. What that was the glyph for Monte Alban. The upside down head represented conquered peoples. And so then underneath that, they would have 2 or 3 or 4 glyphs or whatever it would take to then describe the name of the town that had been conquered. And so these stretch across this building from one end to the other, all with a consistent conquered towns and villages names attached to them. So there you can see the example of the glyph, upside down glyph with the town name underneath. Same on that one. Same on that one as well. So these were all consistent in showing the names of smaller towns and areas around Monte Alban that were conquered. And then they were marked here to be saved. So there's the Southern Plaza top. I'm not going up the stairs this time because it's a lot of stairs. But up there was a whole platform similar to the one that we saw at the north end. And here is a little peek inside of this massive stone building with more carvings on the sides of the walls. It's hard to see, of course, but in there I can see there's some more carvings on the walls there as well. So every one of these buildings had a purpose. Some of them were used for sacrifice, like the large one here in the middle. We've seen some that were homes that people would live in. We've seen examples of administrative buildings, and we saw the building of the dancers there earlier, which recognized those who were probably captured and then sacrificed. This building here in front of me was the Astronomical Observatory, and you'll notice that compared to everything else, which is pretty well squared off in the same angles, this one is not, because this one followed the sun and was used to observe the sun and the stars and trying to, calculate when certain things would happen for ceremonies and those types of things. This is just the backside of the astronomical building. You can see again there's some carvings up here on the wall, and apparently it was reserved in terms of access, according to the information, to high priests and scientists were the only ones allowed inside. So I think at this point I am going to start making my way back down the hill. My trip here ended up being a little shorter than I wanted today, but that's all right. I got to see lots. Between the hike up the hill and then the rain slowing things down a little bit, but still an incredible place, and I really can't recommend enough that if you come to Oaxaca, you definitely have to make the trip up to come see Monte Alban. Absolutely worth it. So much to see here. There's even a museum down by where we first came in, which has some of the original artifacts that were found here as well. It was 95 pesos to get in, I think, and then I paid the extra so that I could film. But I think that this place is absolutely worth the trip up. Just keep in mind that if you come in the next little while, it may be a bit of a hike up the hill, but I don't know when that road will be finished. Looked pretty close, so that should help. It's still soaked from the rain, and the wind just picked up, but at least it'll make for a cool walk back down the hill to catch our bus. This one here's a little bit different than the rest. It's actually dug into the ground. I don't see a sign here for it, but if I get the name of it, I'll put it on the screen here. But my guess, based on all the other information, is probably older and was then buried or covered over, and then something else built on top of it, and now they've rediscovered the original. It's definitely getting busier here now too, that the rain has stopped for a bit. So here's a better shot of the city of Oaxaca and the surrounding hills. Beautiful spot up here, absolutely stunning. So this is one of the examples of the ball courts that was here at Monte Alban. There was believed to be 5, I think they've found in total. And yeah, there would be 2 teams. Balls would be moved back and forth up the middle section here on the grass. And yeah, it was quite competitive from the information that I read. And you know, given that there was 5 of them in the area, it would also certainly seem to indicate that the sport was popular and important to the region. So that's it. I'm going to make my way back down. My bus is at 2:30, which is in about 40 minutes, and it's probably going to take about that long to get back down. So that'll do it from Monte Alban. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you like this video, please leave a like below and a comment to let me know that you were here. If you'd like to see more of my videos in the future, don't forget to subscribe. And remember, life is short, so go wander. I'll see you in the next video.